Hi folks, how you doing? I'm the Reverend Danny Crosby, Unitarian minister serving congregations in Altrincham and in Urmston in the northwest of England. I hope you're able to find the love and you're witnessing some of the blessings of life, even in these difficult times. It is hard, my friends, but we are all in this one together. I'm offering these devotions as my little bit of hope, doing what I can, playing my role in being a part of the solution. These devotions are offered as a balm for the heart, for the mind, for the spirit, and for the soul. And the title for today's little reflection is Exquisite Risk. So I invite us just to still ourselves now, together now in silence. Let's invite a loving presence to be here amongst us and to awaken from deep, deep within us. I have lit the flame of freedom in the cup of belonging, acceptance, and love. We join together despite our physical separation, united in our devotion to life and to love. Holy One, who has given us the breath of life, today we remember to breathe deeply, to rest, to take in, to pause before we act, and then to take in another deep breath, poised on the edge, and risk jumping in, risk taking action, risk speaking up, risk using the gifts that we have been given, so that at the end of our life we may say with absolute clarity that no part of our existence was wasted in fear of failure or fear of success. Hold us, prepare us the way to begin to offer the gift of our awakened presence, full of love and full of light today. These are the prayers of our hearts that we lift up now, that we lift up together, even though we're physically apart. Amen. I'm going to begin today's devotion with a classic poem by Mary Oliver, When Death Comes. When Death Comes by Mary Oliver. When death comes like a hungry bear in autumn, when death comes and takes all the bright coins from his purse to buy me and snaps the purse shut, when death comes like the measles pox, when death comes like an iceberg between shoulder blades, I want to step through the door full of curiosity, wondering what it is going to be like, that cottage of darkness. And therefore, I look upon everything as a brotherhood and a sisterhood, and I look upon time as no more than an idea, and I consider eternity as another possibility, and I think of each life as a flower, as common as a field daisy and as singular, and each name a comfortable music in the mouth, tending as all music does towards silence, and each body a lion of courage and something precious to the earth. When it's over, I want to say all my life I was a bride married to amazement. I was the bridegroom taking the world into my arms. When it's over, I don't want to wonder if I have made of my life something particular and real. I don't want to find myself sighing and frightened or full of argument. I don't want to end up simply having visited this world. So a little bit of wisdom from Mary Oliver to begin today's devotion. A little while ago I was sent a picture of myself with my closest in age at least siblings. It was taken in 1977 at a fancy dress street party during the Silver Jubilee celebrations. I think we lived in Barnsley at the time. I was 5 years old. In the picture I am dressed as Tarzan. The strange thing is though, with my little monkey tied to my side, it was the only cuddly toy I ever wanted as a child, and I always tied it to my waist, thinking I was Tarzan a lot of the time. The strange thing was though, that week I was standing bolt upright like a soldier on duty, and there's good reason for this. I was originally planning to go as Action Man. I'd spent the whole week before attempting to stand upright, something I didn't do. Even at that age, I was deeply self-conscious about some physical problems I had. And I was constantly being told to stand up straight, shoulders back, But for some reason, I changed my mind at the last minute and decided I wanted to be Tarzan instead. Funny. So I'm there, dressed as Tarzan, but not standing like Tarzan, standing like the soldier I'd tried to be all week. As I looked at the picture, I reflected on the pain and shame I had at that time and the decades that followed. I also remembered how even at that young age, I was already living in a bubble of self-protection that would lead to so many problems later in life. It's taken me 40 years to shed that skin, but I believe I've done so. Many old ideas have drifted away over the years. I have lost so much skin that I had been imprisoned in. As a kid, I was always considered overly sensitive, that I needed toughening up to develop another layer of skin. For a long time I attempted to do so, and of course it only made things worse as I attempted to be something I am not, as I attempted to harden my heart. The truth is that all I needed to do was to learn not to take things so personally and to allow my sensitivity to become perhaps my greatest asset, which it is today, I believe. I no longer attempt to defend my heart. Instead, I just allow my heart to lighten my life and pour out my love with. Today, my sensitivity may well be my greatest asset, my treasure, and it's certainly where my heart is. I regularly meet with several colleagues. We talk about ministry, we talk about where we are in our own lives, we talk about our own spiritual development. And there's a colleague who often repeats the following words when we come together. I honour your gods. I drink at your well. I bring an undefended heart to our meeting place. I have no cherished outcome. I will not negotiate by withholding. I am not subject to disappointment. Now, oddly, these words come from a traditional Celtic wedding vow. They don't seem very romantic, do they? But perhaps they symbolise something much deeper indeed. And it's the line, I bring an undefended heart to our meeting place, that resonates with me the most. It is the key, I believe, to living the spiritual life, to live with an undefended and open heart. This can be extremely painful and difficult at times, but I've learned how vital it is for me to live this way. When I close down or put on my suit of armour, life soon loses its flavour. And I think this is why I've always struggled with the sentiment of Ephesians chapter 6 verses 10 to 8, the passage commonly known as God's armour. And I was recently at an Anglo-Catholic church where I saw an image based around the passage. I remember thinking to myself, God, that's the last thing I want or need. I don't need armour to protect me. It's the last thing I need. Just something to be imprisoned in? No, not for me. For me, religion and spirituality are not about being at war or in conflict, and the God of my limited understanding does not want me armour plated. No way. I know these kind of images appeal to many, and certainly some of my own traditional Christian friends, they appeal to them. They get an understanding from it, but it does not to me. And personally, when I read the Gospels, it does seem in conflict with them. For me, the spiritual life is increasingly about living with an unarmoured heart. Easier said than done, I know. It is the treasure though, and wherever my treasure is, I have come to believe that this is also where my heart is. To be open, to be undefended. Just imagine what it might be like to live with an unarmoured or an undefended heart. We all have defence mechanisms, things that we do to protect ourselves from being hurt. I'm sure we're all familiar with the fright and the flight mechanism. But there's another reaction that perhaps we are less familiar with, and it's certainly one that's talked about less. I have come to call this a kind of freeze mechanism, and it's something I'm very familiar with, for I have utilised it throughout my life. Basically, when trouble strikes, a frozen person appears to continue to function normally on the outside, but inside, emotionally at least, they shut down. They internally hibernate. It's something I've come to learn about myself over the years, and I see it in others quite clearly at times, perhaps too clearly. When it happens to me, my neck and my shoulders become stiff, my throat dries up, the base of my skull seems to warm up, my skin tightens around my face. I tend to blow out a lot, and it feels like someone has just dropped a great rock into the pit of my stomach. In these moments, I build up my walls and try to keep life out. I was doing that at 5 years old, and no child should live like that. I wonder how many of us spend lifetimes building these walls that we think protect us, when in fact all we succeed in doing is block ourselves off from the love present in life. And the love present in life is a treasure of infinite value, the pearl of greatest price, I would say. To live with an open heart is to live intimately with all that is life. It is to experience life through our felt experience, to not be ruled by what our minds project from our past, those disappointments and fears that have been built over a lifetime. To live with an unarmoured heart is about connecting with all that is there. Zen Buddhism talks about intimacy with 10,000 things, meaning intimacy with all things, all phenomena, that nothing is left out of this. I have discovered that I'm living open-heartedly when I'm not at war with life, when I'm not arguing with reality and not avoiding intimacy, especially with my own thoughts and feelings. I can find myself arguing with reality at times. I suppose some would call this living in denial, but thankfully, by living faithfully, I once again see the truth and let loose the prison of my own skin and move on to a newer and fresher reality. My heart opens up and I experience a new reality. I do not remain armoured or frozen for very long. Faith sets me free again. I shed another layer of skin. Then I'm imprisoned in. Well, I've been so. Now in the book, The Exquisite Risk, Daring to Live an Authentic Life, Mark Nepo talks about daring to live your whole unique self, to sing your authentic true song, to be you unforgivingly. The key, he says, is to dare to slow down and to feel and to really feel life rather than merely manage it. Nepo encourages us to become quiet enough and open enough to listen to what truly matters. He encourages us to listen intimately to our own hearts, our loved ones, the wonders of nature. He encourages us to live with nothing held back. He shares his own journey in the book, including a battle with cancer which he overcame and which helped him understand how only by daring to embrace all that life has to offer can we come to a deeper appreciation of its meaning and its beauty. The beauty of Nepo's work is that he makes the personal universal. He speaks in a way that anyone can relate to, if they would only find the courage to open their own hearts. A beautiful example of this is when he tells of a dear friend who slowly loses her hearing. And due to the hearing loss, he describes her moving beyond merely surface listening. She begins to listen below. She goes on a journey under the skin. He tells how one day as she grew tired of straining so hard for all the words, she began to listen to eyes and to bodies, to gestures, to the face behind the face. She discovered the warmth, the deep love coming from within the other. Circumstances had forced her to change how she related to people, and in so doing she discovered new and beautiful ways to relate and connect to others. Her disability had not decreased the experience of her life. Instead, through listening with the ear of her heart, she had discovered new and beautiful things. She had shed the skin that she'd been imprisoned in. Now, Nepo does not suggest that we have to suffer in order to draw out these beautiful gifts of the heart that are within all of us, although it seems that for most of us this is the case. It is often suffering that finally humbles us enough to open up and transcend the limits of what we think we know. The key he suggests is self-education. Since the word educate means to draw out, to call forth what is already present within us. If only schools and places of education would learn that, instead of just teaching things by rote. If we do, though, we will discover the world within us and ourselves within the world. This requires us to listen to all that the world has to say and not just the thoughts going round and round in our own little worlds. It requires us to shed the skin that we are imprisoned in, to let down the armour plating, to learn to live with an undefended heart. The key, it seems, is to become intimately aware that all of us have a unique purpose for being here. This is the exquisite risk that Nepo is describing. It's becoming willing to be fully alive, fully open, available to live authentically, alive with an undefended heart. Nepo speaks powerfully to me, to my condition as a human being. The spiritual life is indeed a journey under the skin, beneath the surface. And this takes courage to go beyond the limits of material life. It takes courage to truly engage in the exquisite risk, to live the authentic life, to join in the courageous conversation. So I invite you to come and join with me on this journey under the skin. Come with me on a journey under the skin. Come with me on a journey under the skin. Come with me and we'll find the pan within. That little bit of everything that's already there deep within us. Come and lose the skin that you're imprisoned in. Let's take together the exquisite risk. Amen. So I'm going to end, as I usually do, with a few words of blessing. You know, we need to bless more. We can all bless. We can do so by giving our whole hearts to life. So let's begin by blessing today. Let's give our whole hearts to life. Let's lose that skin that we're imprisoned in. Let's journey under the skin. Come with me on a journey under the skin. So I offer these final words of blessing. Let's be still once more. So let's once more return to our lives. Let us live open-heartedly, so that the Spirit that lives to set us free can enter into us and fill our hearts, so that we may become beacons of love and connection to those that we meet in this world. And may we carry the Spirit with us, may it pour out of us, and may it do so in all that we feel, in all that we think, in all that we say, in all that we do. Amen.